24 movies later, and I have a confession. Hallmark played it too safe this year. But hidden in the sea of just okay films, there were a few total disasters, 3 massive surprises, and a number one pick that is absolutely going to divide the fan base. So I hope you're sitting down for this one. Welcome back to Hallmark Mysteries and More. Today is the big one, the definitive ranking of every single movie in the 2025 Countdown to Christmas lineup. I've watched them all, so you don't have to, and we are ranking them from the absolute worst to the shocking best. And I'm not exaggerating, my top pick, it isn't even a traditional Christmas movie. So pour that last cup of cocoa, hit that subscribe button, and if you're new here, let's start some arguments. Okay, let's get to the rankings. While this brings me no joy, there has to be a worse movie of the year, and this year that distinction belongs to The Christmas Cup. And this pains me because I love me some Rihanna and Fish, but it seems like her Hallmark career is either hit or miss. For every my Norwegian holiday, there's a Machu Picchu proposal. Also, sorry Hearties, but Ben Rosenbaum just can't carry a movie as a lead. Now, next is Oi to the World. It is a huge disappointment. One thing, Hallmark has proven in recent years that it knows how to make a Hallmark movie with classics like Round and Round and Hanukkah and Rye, but unfortunately, Oi to the World doesn't live up to that tradition. To be fair, Hallmark tried to pass this dual holiday mismatch off as a Hanukkah movie, but it fell really short of representing the Jewish holiday. Brooke D'Orsay and her adorable updo just couldn't save a weak script and bad directing. Okay, now that we cleared out the coal in the stocking tier, we're moving on to the cozy watch tier. There really aren't many terrible movies left, but conversely, I'm not sure any of these next ones will stand the test of time and be considered truly classics. In fact, I'm not sure any of these movies would crack the 2023's top 10, the year that I consider to be Hallmark's greatest lineup ever. From here on out, I basically enjoyed all the movies. They all delivered to some extent, some just more than others. And this next one is the first of my surprises, and that is the Tyler Hynes and Aaron Krakow reunion, A Christmas Above Clouds. This one just didn't grab me as I expected it to. First, I thought that Aaron's character in this modern spin of A Christmas Carol was just too unlikable to me that I never believed that she found her holiday spirit, and more importantly, that people around her would forgive her years of awful behavior. Secondly, it never really created the chemistry between her and Tyler that we saw in It Was Always You. Tyler felt more like a co-star in this one, and if we're bringing him back with Krakow, then we really wish they would have been a movie where they were more on equal terms. But all was not bad. I loved the Ghost of Christmas Past and Present and Future. They were fantastic. Plus, being in a plane was a fun and unique setting. So kudos to you, Peter Benson, for pulling this one off. Moving on, we have Tidings for the Season. I expected to hate this movie because Tamara Mowry Housley and her kid movies just haven't fared well in the past with like Scouting for Christmas and Inventing the Christmas Prince. Plus, as charming as he seems to be in real life, BJ Britt just delivers flat performances on screen. But I admit it, I was pleasantly surprised. The kid was cute and not annoying, and it's a much appreciated rarity for Hallmark. And BJ, he did a commendable job. There are some decent holiday feels, but overall the movie was just a bit too cheesy for me to rank this one any higher. Another movie that had a lot of hype but was just okay for me is A Newport Christmas, starring Gina Claire Mason and Wes Brown. Expectations were sky high with solid leads, some time travel, a historic location that had us thinking it would be something like the next Biltmore Christmas. Unfortunately, it never quite lived up, and honestly had some laughable bad green screen scenes that were distracting. I mean, look closely at those screens and it looks like you're in a Zoom meeting. While we come to Hallmark knowing there is a comfort to the formula, it's nice when we don't see that twist coming from a miles away as we did here as well. All that being said, the movie encapsulates the season being perfectly watchable, but equally forgettable. What are you thinking so far? A little shocked about the low rankings for Christmas in the Clouds and a Newport Christmas? Well, you know what? So was I. Next up, A Tale of Two Movies. Christmas on Duty with Janelle Parrish and Parker Young. I'm not going to lie, this movie starts out rough. Very rough. I would suggest turning the movie on, going to make that cocoa, maybe walk the dog, because the first 20 minutes will have you wanting to change the channel. But once you get past that first bit, the movie actually is kind of cute and playful. There's great chemistry between Parrish and Young and plenty of holiday shenanigans. The family side of the story is fun, and who doesn't like ending a decades-long feud with a snowball fight? But if you're expecting this to follow the tradition of Hallmark military movies like A Christmas Card or Christmas Homecoming, you're probably going to be disappointed. This is more of a Christmas and camo flick than a tribute to the armed forces. At 18, we have A Christmas Angel match. Megan Ory not only starred in this one with Benjamin Ayres, but she also wrote it. Sadly, I think Megan should have stuck to acting, as the writing was the primary reason this movie with two terrific leads landed so low. The concept of rival angels helping people fall in love was very cute, and the leads were both very likable and pretty funny. But enemies to lovers is such a hard trope to get right that it feels plausible the characters would actually be drawn to each other. More often than not, this trope misses, and that is its fatal flaw of this movie. I never bought into the relationship, and at the end of the day, isn't that why we're watching Hallmark movies? A Make or Break was among my most anticipated movies of the season. It featured two of Hallmark's brightest young stars, Hunter King and Evan Roderick. Plus, we also got to see Craig, the winner of the reality show Finding Mr. Christmas, in a supporting role. I mean, how could this not be one of the top movies, right? Well, just like A Christmas Angel match, A Make or Break holiday is bogged down by poor writing. We got a meet or cute with Hunter and Evan at the beginning of the movie, which honestly is one of the best of the year. They were so cute and the chemistry was explosive. I was immediately pulled in. But then, unfortunately, it's all downhill from there. Evan and Hunter make all their scenes enjoyable by sheer brute force, elevating them above a marginal script by exercising their talent. The rest of the characters, however, are written so poorly that they just overwhelm the movie and leave us with a sour taste. I'll say this though, Craig did a pretty good job. It was a great decision by Hallmark to place him in a supporting role that didn't put all the pressure on him like last year's flop, A Happy Holidays with Ezra. Now, this was my biggest disappointment for the year. I mean, how about you? What was your biggest disappointment this season? Last year, Holiday Touchdown, A Chief's Love Story was one of my least favorite movies. But this year's version of Bill's Love Story featuring Holland Roden and Matthew Daddario, it was a bit better. Of course, this movie has a bevy of cameos from Buffalo Bill fans, which I don't think lands much outside of the Bills Mafia. But the story of trying to find Holland's uncle's mysterious secret Santa, it was interesting, and Holland was pretty darn good and carried this movie. The ending was also really cute, which helped elevate this movie from a lower ranking, but the whole NFL partnership is a miscue for me, and unless the Detroit Lions are featured, I don't expect any future Holiday Touchdown ever to not be ranked near the bottom tier. Okay, I am not a Royal Trope fan, so I am a bit surprised that A Royal Montana Christmas with Fiona Gilberman and Warren Christie is this high. But the whole royal angle was played pretty down, and it had more of a regular rom-com feel than a royal one. The scenery was, as expected, amazing. The inevitable conflict was handled maturely, which is always a positive in Hallmark movies for me. And Very few Hallmark hunks bring the heat like Warren Christie. Lastly, if you read the comments, many people complain about Fiona's accents, but I have to ask you, have you ever heard a Zalnaria accent before? I personally think she nailed it. Speaking of genres that are usually near the bottom of the list, The Snow Must Go On, a quasi-musical, was also a surprise. Corey Cott shows off his undeniable singing abilities, and Heather Hemmings is a nice compliment. I really expected not to like this movie, but as the credits started rolling, I realized my cheeks were hurting from smiling so much. I think a lot of this is a testament to the directing skill of Hallmark's legendary director Jeff Beasley, who just knows how to make a holiday movie. Though I'm still perplexed at how Cott took over the high school performance and everybody wasn't up in arms. But hey, it's the Hallmark universe, so who am I to care about reality? Okay, things are really rolling now. What movie were you surprised that you liked way more than you expected? One of the more anticipated pairings for me was Rachel Boston and Brendan Penny in The More the Merrier. This movie had a really fun premise of being snowed in at an emergency room and having to create a festive holiday for patients who are stuck in the hospital. And this movie executed the enemies to lovers trope much better than A Christmas Angel match, with the early part of the relationship plagued by more misunderstanding than hostility. They quickly evolved into fun flirting and, of course, ultimately romance and a smooch in an easy manner that pulled viewers along through the transformation. There was a wonderful, touching adoption story that really connected with me and gave me all the warm feels I could want in a movie. The only real downside is the scenery is mostly confined to the hospital, which, despite its best efforts, is a pretty sterile location for a holiday flick. We enter the top half of the rankings with Alpine Holiday, with Ashley Williams and Lacey J. Maley playing sisters tasked by their recently deceased grandmother to recreate the trip where she met their grandfather. If A Royal Montana Christmas was a 10 on magnificent scenery, Alpine is an 11. The French Alps are captured beautifully by director Lucy Guest, who didn't cop out and rely on a green screen. While the movie is a visual masterpiece, one thing that just bothered me is the feel the story was much more appropriate for an actor younger than Ashley. The character is in the life stage of discovering herself, not someone who's pushing 50. Hunter King or Lillian Duchette Roche would have been much better in this role, in my opinion. I can't deny, though, that Ashley did a commendable job, but it was just a peeve of mine. I'm not sure it will bother others, so I didn't penalize it too much and rank it way lower. I'm sure I'm going to get some raised eyebrows with my ranking of Single on the 25th, featuring Lindsay Fonseca and Daniel Lissing. I know this is a hit of the season for plenty of folks, but for me, it was just enjoyable. Lindsay was unarguably brilliant, though, in her role. I totally could relate to some of her issues, like not wanting to eat alone. And hey, this is my favorite role of Daniel Lissing, who I am not the biggest fan of. And they had great cozy chemistry. So why do I have it just outside the top 10? For similar reasons to Alpine Holiday. The whole premise of the movie is Lindsay's character's growth in becoming comfortable with herself and no longer feeling the need for a significant other and others to be around her to make her holidays complete. Then the big payoff is she gets a significant other. This would probably have been in the top 5 if they did like a flash forward showing her and Lissing getting together like, I don't know, around Valentine's Day or something. What do you think? Am I totally overanalyzing Alpine Holiday and Single on the 25th? Let me know. Here we are. We have arrived at the top 10. We met in December with Autumn Reeser and Mal Matter. This was the couple I was looking most forward to. And I wasn't disappointed. Rather than wait till the end for the chemistry to accumulate in a crescendo, the movie starts out with a bang. Autumn and Niall do a great job of keeping viewers engaged in their journey to reconnect after Niall slept through his alarm and missed meeting Autumn and his flight. This is unlike most Hallmark movies, as there's no pretense. These are just two grown-ups without the usual emotional bag who just want to find each other. And my only complaint is that there are a few pacing issues that fixing would have kept things moving along a little bit quicker, but that's honestly just me nitpicking. How could you go wrong pairing up Erin Cahill and Paul Campbell? Well, you know what? You can't. And Christmas at the Catnip Cafe was truly delightful. The movie's foundation is built on the Hallmark stereotype of a big city marketing executive who comes to a small town and falls in love with a charming local hunt. Yep, we have seen it 100 times before, but you know what? It works. The movie is so darn cute, we just fall in, and you know what? We just don't care. Quality writing injects freshness into this tired trope, and Cahill and Campbell's performances are just fantastic. Next up is a sweet holiday romance with Jesse Schramm and Dominique Sherwood. While The More the Merrier gave us a sterile setting, this couldn't be more festive, set in a luxurious hotel. The cinematography is simply gorgeous. The story is engaging and complex, spanning two distinct time periods. Jessie is adorable as always, and her blue dress is the dress of the year. Sherwood proves he belongs as a Hallmark leading man as well. There is a ton of humor woven into this absolutely adorable, cute story. My only issue is that I wish the misunderstanding could have been handled with humor rather than conflict. All right, lucky number 7 goes to Three Wisest Men, with the Brenner boys returning for their third installment of the franchise. Now I'll admit, I was not excited for this one. I was thinking it was just the same thing we had seen twice before, just packaged differently. Instead, what we got was the best of the 3 movies, which provided as much depth as humor for the characters. Tyler Hynes, who sometimes falls in the trap of playing Tyler Hynes, was awesome in this one. We still had all the laughs and plenty of shenanigans, but we also had an equal amount of heart and personal growth. This is perfectly showcased when Tyler was pacing in the store, having a serious conversation on his phone in the foreground, while Andrew and Paul were busy engaged in a ball pit battle. We're headed back to river cruising down the Danube in a Keller family Christmas. Hallmark veterans Jonathan Bennett, Brandon Ruth, and the middle's Eden Scher are siblings who join their parents for a holiday cruise. Anyone who doesn't come from an only kid household knows the siblings dynamic is played perfectly. I mean, the bickering and the incessant antagonizing bring flashbacks of family gatherings for me. There's as much teasing as there is love between them. Each sibling has their own issues, but they also share a unified purpose, making for a very interesting story. But like almost every movie this year, the movie isn't without its flaws. I think Jonathan's boyfriend turning down his proposal without providing any reason and sending Jonathan into an emotional tailspin was just mean and unnecessary. As we head into the top 5, there are a couple huge surprises. Have you figured out which they are yet? No one could have seen this next movie coming. Well, other than me. I predicted it would be the surprise hit when we did our preview a couple months ago. Melt My Heart This Christmas with Laura Vandervoort and Stephen Huszar cracked the top 5. This movie is the glass-blowing take on The Devil Wears Prada, which was absolutely delightful. It had all the Christmas feels anyone could want. You couldn't take your eyes off Laura when she was on the screen. This maybe is Huszar's best role, giving Ruby Herring Mysteries a run for its money. And Jennifer Wigmore was perfection as the Miranda Priestley-esque character. And glassblowing is so mesmerizing that I just had to sign up for a class. Make sure you subscribe to my channel if you haven't, so I can fill you in after I take my class on all the details. Does Kimberly Sustad ever disappoint? Well, Pairing her up with Robert Buckley, we don't have to worry about it. The warm and funny Merry Christmas Ted Cooper comes in at number 4. Just being a weatherman, Ted Cooper had me hooked. The witty dialogue and the cute romance kept me engaged, but that isn't surprising since this film was written by Hallmark's hottest writer, Russell Heinlein. The last couple years, he's penned The Santa Summit, The Santa Class, so we knew this one would be good. Even as a doctor, Kimberly exudes the girl next door charm that has made her a fan favorite. But, not to be outdone, Buckley is equally charismatic and funny. This movie hit all the right notes, delivering romance and holiday feels equally. A Grand Ole Opry Christmas had a stacked cast with 2 of the elite Hallmark actors, Christopher Palaha and Nikki DeLoach. These 2 aren't just fan favorites, they are immensely talented. While I expected the acting in this to be next level, I didn't think I would actually love the movie because it was centered around country music. But you know what they did? They tricked me with some fun time travel, which completely sucked me in. As a result, I enjoyed the story as much as I appreciated the 2 leading actors' chops. Their chemistry was just off the charts. Watching these 2 perform, you just believe that they have always loved each other. The rest of the cast delivered equally great performances. There were cameos by a ton, and I mean a ton, of country stars that would have me check out for moments. But other than that, this movie is very, very, very good. What about you? Did you enjoy those country musician cameos, or were you like me and just rather have had more Chris and Nikki time? There is a reason Lacey Chabert is the queen of Hallmark. Then you pair her with Andrew Walker, and you know that she's making a list has the star power to be great. And fortunately, unlike Hunter and Evan, they got a script worthy of their talents. The direction of this movie helped elevate it, employing crafty cinematography and even breaking the fourth wall, something I don't remember ever seeing before in Hallmark. Steve Basic delivers a hilarious performance as the head of the outsourced Naughty or Nice management company. And even Walker's daughter, played by Candace Compton, created a realistic teenager that was equal parts snarky and funny versus Hallmark's normally overly precocious, annoying kid. This was just the quirky Christmas movie that gave me exactly what I wanted. And here we are, the best movie and the biggest surprise of the year. The Christmas Baby with Ellie Liebert, Kat Burrell, and Barbara Niven, they were all magnificent in the only movie of the year that had no misses for me. This was a beautiful tale of family coming together and growing through the support of their friends, the community, and their family members. It had everything a holiday movie should be about. Now, they were just dealing with issues any couple would. It wasn't pushing an agenda other than love is love, and that families can look very different. The only flaw, and yes, I'm using air quotes, is that since it featured a queer couple, many people simply refused to watch it based on that alone. And that's a shame because they missed a fantastic movie. The movie is wonderfully acted, directed, written, and it delivers such tender moments that I'm not afraid to admit it. I spent the final 20 minutes in a spin cycle, crying one moment and then laughing the next. It wasn't just a movie, it was what Christmas is actually about. There we go. 24 movies ranked from worst to best. I know that my number 1 pick is going to be a bit decisive because of the storyline. As always, make sure you visit my YouTube store. It is loaded with great merch like my Real Men Watch Hallmark shirts and all sorts of other good Hallmark stuff. If you haven't already subscribed, make sure you spread some holiday cheer and hit that subscribe button so you get notified when the next video comes out. Until next time, happy holidays. This podcast was created by fans for fans and is not affiliated with or sponsored by Hallmark or the Hallmark channel.